This is OwlUp, where learning happens in minutes, not hours. For a deeper journey, explore all our courses at owlup.co. Now, let's dive in. Welcome back to Blockchain Beyond Bitcoin. I'm excited to dive into Chapter 2, where we're going to unpack one of the most fascinating parts of how blockchains actually work: the mysterious world of mining and how computers compete to validate your transactions. Let's get into it. A single Bitcoin block can pay out roughly $400,000, yet almost no one can explain what miners actually do to earn it. Picture a data center full of roaring machines burning electricity non-stop. What invisible job are they racing to finish? In this episode, we'll zoom out from the roar of mining machines and look at why proof of work became the foundation of early blockchains, and why it's now at the center of a global tug-of-war between security, energy, and scalability. Bitcoin's design tied digital trust to something undeniably physical: electricity and hardware. That link is what makes rewriting its history so brutally expensive, but it also anchors the system to real-world constraints like power grids, chip supply, and regulation. We'll unpack how miners actually compete economically, why hash rate matters more than the number of devices, and how difficulty quietly adjusts to keep the system on schedule. Then we'll contrast Bitcoin's path with Ethereum's pivot to proof of stake, and examine how different blockchains are rethinking security budgets in a post-Ethereum merge world. To understand where mining fits, it helps to zoom out from individual blocks to the whole economy of security around a chain. Every network has a kind of security budget: value spent on hardware, electricity, and rewards in exchange for keeping history honest. Bitcoin hardwires this into its issuance schedule. Ethereum now pays stakers instead. But beyond these headline systems, newer chains are experimenting. Some rent security from larger networks, others recycle existing hardware, and some combine POW with extra rules, like adding alarm systems on top of the main lock. At today's parameters, Bitcoin spends more than $20 billion in specialized hardware and over $1 million per hour in electricity just to keep the chain moving. That sounds absurdly wasteful, until you recognize it as an ongoing arms race where the prize is control over the ledger itself. From the miner's side, this is a brutally simple business. Revenues are predictable in code, costs are messy and real. Revenue comes from two sources: the protocol's block subsidy and user-paid transaction fees. The subsidy is on a known decay path, the halving schedule, while fees swing with demand for block space. When meme coins spike or stablecoin issuers are scrambling to move large balances, fee markets light up. Suddenly, a single block can earn more in fees than in subsidy. That volatility shapes everything from where miners place their machines to how they finance operations. On the cost side, electricity price and uptime dominate. This is why you see mining clustering around stranded hydropower, overbuilt wind farms, flare gas sites, and regions with seasonal energy gluts. Miners don't just use energy. They arbitrage when and where energy is cheapest, effectively turning time-varying power into a globally liquid asset. In some grids, miners even act as flexible load, switching off during peak demand and back on when prices fall, because their product is delay-tolerant hashes rather than real-time services. The competitive pressure is unforgiving. Each miner's expected share of rewards tracks their fraction of global compute, but their profit depends on how efficiently they can convert electricity into valid attempts. That's why hardware generations roll so quickly. Every improvement in joules per hash punishes laggards and forces consolidation. Publicly traded mining firms layer on another constraint: shareholders, debt covenants, and hedging strategies. Some lock in power prices through long-term contracts. Others pre-sell future production via derivatives tied to hash rate or difficulty, offloading risk to speculators. This economic structure has consequences for attacks. The headline cost of a 51% attack assumes buying fresh hardware and power. But real-world attackers might rent capacity, repurpose existing rigs, or collude with large operators. In practice, they'd also crash market confidence, devaluing any coins they tried to double spend. So part of Bitcoin's defense is game theoretic. The more entrenched and visible the mining industry becomes, the harder it is to profit from sabotaging it without blowing up your own balance sheet. Some newer POW chains try to inherit this by merge mining with Bitcoin or reusing its hardware niche, but that introduces its own risks. Miners can treat them as side bets, discarding them the moment rewards no longer justify the marginal energy. The tension around mining becomes clearer when you watch how different players react to the same incentives. In Texas, for instance, large operators enroll in grid programs that pay them to power down during heat waves, turning what looks like a liability, huge interruptible demand, into a dispatchable resource. In parts of Scandinavia, miners co-locate near aluminum smelters and data centers, negotiating with utilities as if they were another industrial customer, but with unusually fast on-off flexibility. One analogy from medicine helps here. Think of POW as a kind of immune system. The network constantly spends resources to patrol for threats, even when nothing obvious is wrong. That looks expensive from the outside, until the day a major attack is attempted and quietly neutralized because overwhelming defensive capacity was already humming in the background. Different blockchains effectively choose different immune profiles. Some opt for a heavily muscled, always-on defense. Others prefer a lighter, more targeted posture and accept different trade-offs. Regulators, climate activists, and utilities now treat POW as both headache and opportunity. Some regions may cap emissions or demand real-time transparency, nudging miners toward grids that welcome flexible demand. As more chains compete, security could become a marketable feature, like a trust rating users compare. The paradox: if hardware centralizes too far, social consensus, users, developers, exchanges, may end up as the ultimate veto on abusive hash power. As blockchains evolve, expect how they secure history to matter as much as what they secure. Networks may specialize like instruments in an orchestra, some heavy and percussive, others light and agile, letting users choose security tracks that fit their risk tempo. Your challenge this week: trace where your digital value actually lives and who's paid to defend it. This was OwlUp, your daily step forward. To keep learning with structured courses and more insights, go to owlup.co. Until tomorrow!